We're still digging up this body number 17, which is an officer. We can already see he has fractures on the right arm here, and where his pocket must have been, there's 2 white condoms that are unused apparently. So this guy has a wallet that we're going to open now to see what's inside. There's already an Italian coin. There's some paper. There's a condom. Some more coins. Condom, novac. So here we just found some more of the typical stuff, a bunch of condoms. How many do you have in his pocket? How many do you have?
3.
3, I wonder what he was doing with that.
Counting his luck.
And on this side I've kept on digging as well, and this guy on his arm, he has this white thing that of course everybody guessed is a condom. And then down here there's a belt buckle made of iron. So we're going to keep on digging. A lot of people who have been watching my digging videos have been surprised by the condoms that are often found with the bodies of the World War II soldiers, because they didn't know that condoms existed at the time. And there's been quite a few funny comments. People saying, for example, look at all these condoms, these soldiers must have been cheating on their wives. But actually, you know, the ones who had the condoms are the ones who didn't use them, so the ones who might have been cheating on their wives are the ones who were found without the condoms. And other people have also said the condoms are in a better condition than the identification tags, and that's literally true sometimes. This is an Italian identification tag. For comparison, you can see that it's quite oxidized, whereas if you look at the condoms, except for the fact that they've hardened with time, they're in like perfectly good condition. And I sometimes say jokingly that for these soldiers that are found with rusty ID tags that we can no longer read, I say they should have written their name on their condom, because that way we would still be able to identify them today. People have also been posting a lot of comments as to the reasons why the soldiers had condoms, and I have to say there's been a few stupid comments of people assuming that because you find a German soldier with a condom, that means he was given a condom to rape people, as if anybody in the world with a condom is a rapist. I don't think so. And what was the reason why they had condoms? Well, it's very simple. It's just a sanitary measure. Now here I prepared a World War II British document for the invasion of southern France, and you can see it says condoms will be issued from the unit rooms on a scale of 2 per man prior to departure from camp, and veneral disease casualties will not be evacuated but will be issued with the necessary medication and resume full duty. Now this is interesting because of course in wartime, if a soldier is sick and not on the front lines, well then you can imagine that getting a veneral disease would be a very nice way out of combat. And as you see here in this British document, they actually would not even evacuate a soldier who had veneral disease. And here I prepared a couple of American documents as well that show the casualties in a unit per month. And you see, so there's 27 cases of gonorrhea, 15 cases of chancroid, so those are both veneral diseases. Then if you look at the next month, there's 79 cases of gonorrhea, 10 cases of syphilis, 23 cases of chancroid. And if you compare that to the combat casualties, there's 105. You can see that there's actually more soldiers who are getting veneral disease than people who were being wounded in combat. So that shows how much of a problem it was for the army. And so basically they just issued condoms so that soldiers would not get veneral diseases and not be out of combat for that sort of reason. This is a period poster, saying like, if you get a veneral disease, you're a saboteur. So that's how seriously it was taken. Here there's a couple of other period posters trying to convince soldiers to avoid veneral diseases. So I hope this explanation helps you understand that it was perfectly normal for soldiers to have condoms. It's not because they were rapists, and it was the same in any other civilized army, that people were issued with condoms so that they wouldn't get sick and wouldn't cause women to be pregnant. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and for the end I'll show you this digging photo where literally as we were digging, the condom ended up on our pick, which was pretty amusing for us, of course. And this guy in the meantime has become a medical doctor and a urologist, so he's now an expert on condoms. What you just saw was the first version of the video I made about these condoms being used in wartime, and I actually made the video as a sort of joke, and I had no idea it would be the most successful video I'd ever made, with hundreds of thousands of people watching it and lots of people commenting. And I would just want to make this addition to answer some of the questions that were mentioned in the comments of the first video. So the first thing is that people were saying, why would soldiers need condoms when they're going to war? Well, I think that shows a misunderstanding of what World War II was like. See, it lasted for several years. It occurred all over Europe, including in places like Paris or Amsterdam or Berlin. And soldiers had plenty of interactions with the women in those countries, of course, on occupation duty. And even on the front lines, even in places like Russia, German soldiers were often quartered in houses with civilians, so they had interactions with local women as well, and they had plenty of chances for sexual interactions. And here I prepared a few pictures. This is in Paris. You can see German soldiers with Parisian girls. This is in southern France, so German soldiers having a good time with some local women. This is in Monte Carlo, also southern France. This guy here was his name was Lawrence Rode. He was an opera composer or a musician in civilian life, and since he was in Monte Carlo on occupation duty, he decided to, not waste his time, and he created an opera for the Monte Carlo Opera House. And here you can see him with some of his dancers, and you can very well imagine that these girls may have had consensual sex with him or with other German soldiers. I don't want to say that he did, because I have no idea about his private life. I don't want to insult him and say he was cheating on his wife or something. Maybe he was very professional. I have no idea. This here is another German soldier in southern France, and you can see he found a good-looking local girlfriend. So there was lots of consensual sex going on between German soldiers and women in occupied countries. This picture doesn't need any commenting. You can see that this girl is wearing a German uniform and is seeming to have a great time. And there was so much sex going on. For example, in France, you can see it's estimated that there were 200,000 children born of French fathers during the occupation period. And nobody here is speaking about rape. This is just actual girls falling in love with German soldiers that came and occupied their area, which isn't surprising, because German soldiers were young men, and lots of them were good looking, lots of them were friendly and well educated, and they just had romantic relationships with local girls, like it always happens in times of war. And the problem wasn't rape, because some people, when they saw these condoms, like I said, they assumed that was for raping. But once again, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me. Rapes can be committed with or without condoms. The presence of a condom doesn't mean that somebody is going to be a rapist, and the absence of a condom doesn't mean that somebody is not going to be a rapist. For example, I've been witness to many exhumations of Soviet soldiers, and we never find condoms with them. But everybody knows what happened when the Soviet army reached Berlin. So the absence of condoms didn't mean that they didn't commit any rapes. And the real problem, for example, for these Frenchmen wasn't that German soldiers were rapists with their condoms. Their problem was that as soon as the Germans left, well, then the local Frenchmen beat them and branded them with swastikas and shaved their heads and things like that. It's not the most glorious moment in French history, unfortunately. To conclude about this, the German soldiers had lots of chances to interact with local women. Also, there was lots of prostitution for food, for money, and yeah, they were just issued condoms because they were having sex like soldiers have always done throughout history. And when the Allies arrived, it was the same story. This picture was taken in Saint-Tropez, southern France, about August 16th, 1944. This soldier here, his name was Burl Knapp. He was killed just about 5 days later. And you can see he's with a very nice looking French girl, so I don't know if anything happened between them. But you can imagine that when these liberators, American paratroopers, came along, the local girls were obviously very attracted to them. This is another picture from southern France, taken in Grasse. So you can see this guy has 4 girls around him, and I'm sure all of them would have been very happy to have some kind of romantic relationship with them. Actually, a lot of the American soldiers met local girls and got married with them, and then brought them back to the States after the war. This is the liberation of Nice. You can see all the girls rushing towards the American Jeep, and you can very well imagine what might have happened that night. And that's the sort of situation that soldiers were given condoms for. Now, another question I want to address. Lots and lots of people commented and said that condoms were for protecting rifles. Now, I don't know, I'm a World War II enthusiast, not a Vietnam War or Korean War enthusiast, so I don't know what happened in those later wars. But in World War II, I've never seen any evidence, like as a photograph or a witness account mentioning that a condom was used to protect a rifle barrel. And I've read hundreds of books and seen plenty of pictures, and not a single time have those things shown a condom being used to protect a rifle. So, for example, this I found on an internet blog, and the guy is saying that this is a classic. But okay, if it's a classic, well then, how about finding some pictures of that? And you know, soldiers are just young men, and in World War II they took lots of pictures of themselves, often acting like idiots, like in these examples here, and even like going to the bathroom and stuff. And I think that if they had used condoms to protect their rifle barrels, they would probably have found that pretty amusing, and we would find lots of pictures showing condoms being used to protect the rifles. And I have yet to see such a picture. Now, like I said, I've read hundreds of autobiographies of soldiers from World War II, seen plenty of pictures. None of them ever illustrated a condom being used on a rifle. The only evidence I did manage to find was this cartoon by Dick Wingert. And in this cartoon, well, first you can see the soldiers getting along with the girls, of course. And if you look carefully, on the soldier's rifle, he did show a condom. So what I'm not saying that this never existed. What I'm saying is that it's something that, if it happened, was very rare, obviously, because we never see any pictures of it. And that is not what condoms were distributed for. And if you disagree with what I'm saying, well, I'm going to invite you to send me evidence of this. If you think that condoms were used to protect rifle barrels on a large scale during World War II, well then please tell me what your evidence is. Tell me what veteran wrote that in his World War II memoir. Tell me what photograph shows that. And please email it to me. So you can email me about this, and if there's more evidence, I'll be happy to post it in a next video. Have a nice day, and as usual, if you want to write me an email to speak about World War II research, you're more than welcome to get in contact with me.